Hello, dear friends. Good evening. Welcome to one more program of Made in Brazil, the talk show edition during our Expo Zibu. We are really glad to be receiving you, welcoming you at our home, at the Zibu home every day. It is so wonderful to feel that you are here with us. We feel that you are near us. And this makes us very happy because we miss all of you. We miss being able to receive you at our home face to face. Until this can become a reality, we hope that in the next Expo Zibu, this is going to be a reality. We would love to have you and your participation in our program. That's why I would like to say welcome to all of you. Well, since we are going through a terrible pandemic, at this moment we are following all of the guidelines set forth by the WHO and also of the local authorities here in Brazil. That's why every moment that I'm here alone, such as this moment now, I'm not going to be wearing my mask. But whenever I have a guest, I'm going to put on my mask, okay, so that I can ensure my health and the health of everybody that is on my team, okay? Because they are preparing a very special program for you. And today we're going to discuss a topic that is extremely important, and I'm sure that you're going to fall in love with it. But before the topic, I have to make a special thanks now that I do every day and that I do every day. I would like to thank Apex Brazil because it allows us to reach the four corners of the world. So thank you so much, Apex Brazil, for the 18 years of partnership so that we could create the Brazilian Cattle Project. And so now let's discuss today's topic. Well, at least me, okay, myself, I am totally passionate about this. The importance of rational management for animal health and also for the increase in productivity. And so to start off, I would like to invite our friend from the ABCZ, Lauro Fraga Almeida. He is a veterinary, he is an expert in judging Zebu cattle, and he's also the genetic improvement manager of the ABCZ. Hello, Lauro, welcome. And we would also like to invite to participate virtually many other participants. So first of all, I'm going to put on my mask, okay, so that I can sit next to Dr. Lauro and so that I can invite our friends to join us virtually. So let's go. Let's work, Lauro, right? And we're going to discuss such an important topic. So first of all, I would like to invite Professor Dr. Mateus Paranhos from Unesp in the city of Jaboticabal. Hello, Professor Mateus, how are you? We are going to welcome him. Oh, there he comes. Yes, hello, Professor. How are you? Welcome. It's a great joy to receive you here, to welcome you here. Now, Professor Mateus Paranhos has a degree in zootechnique from Jaboticabal University. He's also he also graduated in philosophy and languages. He is a master and a professor from Cambridge University. He is an associate professor in veterinary in Jaboticabal. For 4 years in a row, he was chosen by the magazine Dinheiro Rural as one of the 100 most influential people in the agribusiness sector in Brazil, because he promotes the well-being for all animals, okay? and he has published over 100 scientific articles published. What a great honor. So, Professor, it's a great honor to receive you, okay, and to have you here tonight. The same way, welcome, Professor and Dr. Lívia Carolina Magalhães Silva from FASU to join us virtually. She is the coordinator of the zootechnique course. She teaches Introduction to Zootechnique, bovine culture, and also bioclimatology and animal well-being, okay, here at FASU. She's a consultant in animal well-being. She has a degree in zootechnique from the University of Unesp in the city of Jaboticabal. She received the prize for best paper on animal well-being promoted by the World Society of Animal Protection. Okay, she is a master in genetics and animal improvement, and also has a degree from the Agrarian Sciences University from Sweden. She has a PhD and a post-PhD in zootechnique, okay, from IRTA, okay, the Investigación y Tecnología Agroalimentarias, Catalunya, in Spain. So our guests tonight, they are two great experts, and they know their topics very deeply. So it's a great joy, okay, to have both of you here with us, right, Lauro? What a great honor. Yes, Mateus has been my friend for a long time. I believe he was one of the first professionals to start working with animal well-being here in Brazil, and he helped educate several professionals that work with us. This is important. And Lívia, as a professor of FASU, she's closer to us, and she does the test, okay, of feed performance, and so there was a restructuring of the corral, and she was the consultant so that we could work better with the cattle that we have there. So now I'm going to pass the floor to you, okay, because we don't want to waste a single second, and we would like to hear you. Let's start with Professor Mateus, okay? Please, could you make your first remarks? Okay, thank you. Initial remarks? Thank you. First of all, thank you so much to the organizers of the Expo ZIBU for thanks ABCZ. It's wonderful to be sharing this moment with Lívia, with Lauro, and with the other guests that are going to join us later. And so, rational management is a core issue when it comes to animal well-being, okay? Be it for dairy cattle or beef cattle, because many of the activities that we carry out with our animals, they encompass activities that mean that we have to be close to them, to vaccinate them, to analyze how their health is going. And so rational management, to characterize it really well, is to work with knowledge. I know what I'm doing, why I'm doing this, and what are the best practices so that I can carry out this work that is not going to be stressing for the animal. It's impossible not to cause stress in the animal. We ourselves, we feel stress whenever we are going to be vaccinated. We are all waiting for the COVID-19 vaccine, and most of us are going to feel a little stress. Maybe we can have some adverse effects, a headache, a little bit of fever. And so this is a principle. Rational management causes stress. There's no way out, but we should cause the minimum stress possible. We have to carry out the work we do this action with all the knowledge we can. And this knowledge, you have to know the behavior of that animal, to treat the animals the way, knowing the way they react, okay, in the corral, in the barns, or in any other facility, if you're working with dairy cattle. Maybe it could be in a special place. We have to know also what are the best practices to carry out the vaccination, to carry out the identification, the weaning, etc. And we also should know and place ourselves, how should I place myself, my presence in those facilities. I cannot scare the animal, so I have to control my own behavior so that I can have an effective result. It's not enough to be a good technician, to apply all of the identification technology, to vaccinate the animals, to inject medication, and I am going to be the source of all the stress, and I am going to scare the animals, and the animals are going to react more. So all of this is part of the rational management, and as I mentioned, we have different scenarios for the beef cattle and also for the dairy cattle. Another important point, because there is an emphasis here, so how does rational management impact animal health? What should I consider? It's important to consider that rational management has a key element to diminish problems related to the animal's well-being. And health is very important for all animals and for their well-being. But other elements, the environment, their interaction with humans, their nutrition, they can impact the well-being of that animal and impact their health. If the rational management is not done properly, the routine activities can cause stress. Maybe I'm going to reduce the immune response of these animals, and this can have a consequence, and then they can get sick. Mainly infecto-contagious diseases, infectious contagious diseases, and parasites. Another problem that we may find is when the management is not done properly, I also have a higher risk of causing accidents, and these accidents can cause serious problems, okay, to the animal's health. For example, fractures, a broken bone. And so, as I gave you examples, if there is a negative impact on their health, there's also going to have a negative impact on their performance. Stressed animals, they produce less. And when I say they produce less, we can generalize the concept. You have less reproduction, you have a lower growth rate, you have a lower production or productivity of milk for the dairy cattle. So all of these elements, they impact negatively when we have poor management, any management that causes stress in the animals. And so summarizing my presentation, adopting the best management practices or adopting rational management practices, they have positive impacts to the animal's health. They have positive impacts on the productivity because all of them are connected to the well-being of the animals. So we have to treat our animals well, even so that we can obtain better results for our businesses. Thank you, fantastic. These initial remarks are already making us very happy. Okay, Professor Lívia, please, could you please make your initial remarks? Good evening, Isi, Lauro, Professor Mateus. Continuing, we talk a lot about coupling our actions with knowledge. And when we have the animals on the farm and we cause stress, their health is going to be impacted. When there are failures or mistakes, when we make mistakes, we impact our animals' health negatively. So we have to consider that the animal's well-being, and so we have to think about their nutrition, their behavior, their health, their mental status, and the environment. All of these elements interfere in our animals' well-being. And health makes all the difference in the world. And so actions with a lot of knowledge and preventive actions, they are going to help you diminish the number of accidents, diminish the number of diseases. And so this history started by getting to know your calves really well. And so the best practices that are established on a farm, we have to always consider them, and we have to start getting to know our animals when the calves are born. And consider the calf as a separate individual and the mama cow as another separate individual, okay? And the dairy cow is already in that condition. So once we start understanding that the actions that we carry out in terms of management, they impact the calf's health. And also, you can have some behavioral responses. They're going to be more docile or not, they're going to be more aggressive. And so when we talk about rational management, we talk about actions that encompass actions and knowledge. Excellent, Lauro. Isn't this important? So if we don't take care of our animals with all of the criteria possible, the result we expect is not going to be the one that we have. So we have a lot to learn with our masters and also to implement this. And I know, Lauro, that you have lots of experience. You have worked with this in our projects. Can you please complement what has been said? Yes, fantastic. This issue of the interaction of the rural technician, the rural worker with the animals. But I would also like to ask a question, because sometimes we are able to do that on the farm, but when the animal goes to the meat packers, we lose this work. And so from Professor Paranhos, please, how was it? You developed this process well with the meat packers, yes? That the handling, the management that is done well on the farm, how can it be done from the fence to the meat packers facilities, please? Lauro, thank you so much for this question. You know that the initial demand to improve our animals' well-being started exactly from the meat packers. Brazil was exporting a lot. We were exporting a lot to Europe, and the Europeans had a very, very strict legislation regarding the well-being of animals. And the exporters who were sending beef to Europe, they had to follow their rules. So the challenges inside the meat packers facilities was to follow the requisites and guidelines from Europe. And so they were implementing rational management practices, the best practices, because international auditors always visit these meat packers to see how they're doing the work. The evolution on the farms has also been has been growing, has been improving. The success rate is impressive. I'm never gonna give them an A plus as a grade, because we can always improve. But the biggest challenge at the moment, and recently there was a study on this, was during the transportation. And then we have elements that are beyond our control. We have terrible highways, terrible roads, long distances. Maybe we could negotiate this, but things become complicated during the transportation. We should offer capacity building to the drivers of these trucks when they load the trucks, when they unload the animals. And last year we carried out a very interesting study, and so we had models for the cargo facilities, the cargo wagon. What was the best position of the elevators and the lifts? How was the floor of the truck? And everything is available in the market, and we need to start using that. And so these pieces of equipment are expensive, but they have to be changed and updated throughout time. time. But I believe we are on the right path to change this in the future. And and maybe soon, well, soon, we're going to have a wider repercussion of this, and these practices are going to be adopted all over Brazil. And some meat packers, they are working in an exemplary way when it comes to this rational management. Excellent, excellent. I know that Lauro already has some questions up his sleeve for Dr. Lívia. So, Lauro, well, all of us that are from the field of agronomy, before entering the university, we have a connection. Our parents' farms, our relatives' farms, or we love animals. So I would like to ask Professor Lívia if the students that you have been having, the current students, do they make a difference? Do they impact the animals' well-being, or are they more worried about the animals' well-being than your classmates when you were a student? So what is happening in your students' minds at the moment? Okay, since this is being discussed in the media, when you open up a magazine that is specialized in livestock, and so the students are already interested in that. And it's interesting because some of my students, they are ranchers, they are farmers, and they are seriously worried about this. Oh, teacher, professor, on my farm, things don't happen like that. How can I teach my staff to do that, my workers? So they have experience on their farms, at their homes, but they are totally connected to this well-being, animal well-being. And we have a highly connected class now. They are worried about the breeding methods, the livestock production methods. And so the zootechniques that I'm teaching, they want to develop a production change that is worried about ethics, sustainability, animal well-being. So it's very interesting that I have been finding more and more motivation regarding the study of animal well-being. And so my subject is Introduction to Zootechnique. And they know that they're going to study this. They start talking about this, well-being, animal health. How can we start working with this? And so my classes now, they are more concerned about this, more worried about this, and they want to apply this when they graduate and become the professionals who are going to work with animals. And so the evolution has been very interesting, different from what I lived when I was a student at the university. And Professor Mateus, we started a study with dairy cattle in 2004. And in 2004, we didn't discuss this animal well-being subject. At that time, we only talked about another kind of management. But when we talked about dairy cattle, this was a novelty. It was brand new in 2004, and people knocked on everybody's door and said, hey, let's carry out studies about this. And so nowadays, we already see this movement of students concerned about how animals are being treated. Wow, Lívia. Personally, I would like to make a few remarks. I'm really happy. When I was at the university, when I was a professor, and it was about 12, 13 years ago, it was really, really difficult. One or two students, they were concerned about animal well-being. How wonderful to hear that students are more worried about this, and soon we're going to have professionals graduating and entering the market with this kind of concern and working with zootechnique or zootechnical studies and worried about animal well-being. And so livestock all over the world is going to gain a lot with that. So I'm going to give 2 minutes for our guests to drink some water. I'm going to invite for our audience, a special block, okay? The Zebu Innovates block or panel.
Olá, sou Rogério Terra, gerente de exportações da JA Saúde Animal, indústria farmacêutica veterinária de maior crescimento da atualidade, sendo destaque em ranking do consagrado jornal inglês Financial Times, estando entre as 500 empresas de maior crescimento das Américas, quinta colocada entre as brasileiras e a única do setor veterinário. Há 20 anos, a JA desenvolve soluções inovadoras, hoje com um portfólio com formulações únicas, como o Probizerro, associação de indectocida com antibiótico de longa ação, o Gentopen, a única penicilina intravenosa veterinária, além do Prador, EGG, Turbocálcio, Mastite Clínica, entre outros. Com uma das maiores equipes técnicas de campo do Brasil, a JA tem sólida atuação nacional e, sob o lema Innovation Crossing Borders, está levando sua qualidade para mais de 15 países em 3 continentes. Temos orgulho de ser parte do Brazilian Cattle.
Olá, meu nome é Luiz Matheus, coordenador de exportação da Casale, uma empresa focada em equipamentos para pecuária de corte e leite. Neste vídeo, queremos mostrar para vocês um pouco de como podemos colaborar com o seu sucesso. Com 57 anos no mercado, somos pioneiros em misturadores de ração total na América Latina. Temos um time de primeira, inovando para oferecer sempre o melhor produto em sua categoria. Nosso objetivo é que você, pecuarista, produza cada vez mais e com maior qualidade. Para entregar os melhores produtos, investimos sempre no avanço de nosso parque industrial e no crescimento pessoal de nossos funcionários. Entre em nosso site e redes sociais para conhecer nossos produtos e inovações, como o Geopec Control, um sistema com balança e GPS integrados para a gestão inteligente da suplementação a pasto. Muito obrigado pela atenção, estou à disposição para mais informações. Será um prazer lhe atender.
Yes, that's it. How much innovation, how many technologies that our country can offer to the rest of the world. So now we are going to welcome new guests, and that is a group of technicians of the companies that part of the Brazilian Cattle Project. And so now we are going to have the technical chat or the tech chat session. And so let's continue. Our friends, they are here already. So let me introduce them to you. Let's start with the representative from Ouro Fino, Felipe Cordeiro. Good evening, Felipe. Welcome. Good evening, Isi. Thank you so much for this opportunity. It's a great honor to be here. Representative from JA Animal Health, Rogério Terra. Hi, Rogério. Good evening. Are you okay? I'm sorry we cannot hear you. Okay, thank you. It's great to be here. The representative from Casale, Jaqueline Casale. Hello, Jaqueline. Good evening. Hi, Isi. Good evening. Good evening, Lauro. Good evening. It's a great pleasure to be here. Representative from Romancini, Mr. Wesley Castillo. Hello, Wesley. Welcome. Hello, good evening, guys. It's a great pleasure to be here representing Romancini. And our representative from Coima, our dear friend, José Dias Roçafa. And his nickname is Zezinho. Good evening, Zezinho. Welcome. Welcome. It's a great privilege to be here. Thank you for this opportunity to be here with so many special people and professionals. I thank you. So we want to hear a little bit from each one of you. And so while one person is speaking, please mute your microphones. And then I'm going to invite all of you so that you can make your remarks. And then afterwards, we're going to bring back our professors, our experts to talk with you, okay? Okay, so Felipe Cordeiro, please start. I would like to pass the floor to you. What a responsibility, right, Isi? Well, talking a little bit about innovation and well-being in the dairy and beef cattle, all over the world. What do we have? What are our novelties? And so we started working with exclusive formulas and formulations, mainly thinking about the management inside the corral. As Professor and Dr. Paranho said, that the corral management is extremely important, and we may have losses if we don't do it right. And so we have an anti-parasite, and so we have a medication to combat external parasites, and so with fipronil and fluazuron that could help the farmers how to manage their animals, bringing more well-being to his or her animals, and also thinking about the sustainability of their business and also on the animals' well-being. Okay, Felipe, thank you so much. Rogério, so now what are your initial remarks, please? Hello, thank you. Thank you so much. It's a great joy to be here with all of you. And so when it comes to animal health in the market that we operate, we produce veterinary products. And so as the founder of our company was a veterinary, and he was always worried since the foundation of the company to produce unique products. And it was one of the first companies in Brazil to get the registration of medication and antibiotics together, thinking about animals' well-beings, because in the past they didn't worry about this. And so they were worried about giving antibiotics to cows, to horses, and so they forgot to give these animals something extra to strengthen them. And so he decided to bring comfort to the animals. And so when the animal is comfortable, this animal starts drinking water, the animal starts eating better, and so they can recover from their diseases better. And so there was a question. How do you see other markets, for instance? Because the animal health industry still has many medications that are going to need a syringe and injection, and so they last longer than the Purons. And so the veterinary industry is already developing Puron and oral products, Puron or oral medication, anti-inflammatory medication that is Puron, and this is a reality in some markets around the world, and they pay more for this kind of product. But we also believe that this is going to become a reality in all of the markets that are worried with animal well-being, and Brazil is included. The strength of the consumer regarding the farmers is going to cause or provoke or make this change. So, professors, how do you see these changes of the pharmaceutical industry? And that is so advantageous for the companies to develop this kind of oral and Puron medication. Yes, for sure, you're going to ask this question pretty soon, but let's listen to Jaqueline before that. Jaqueline, what are your comments, please? Good evening to all. And so Casale equipment is inserted in the nutrition management, nutritional management. If we're going to think about the main pillars, okay, when we talk about management for confined animals, is nutrition, and we work with nutrition. And many times people don't think or don't connect nutritional management with animal well-being. And in fact, it's useless for you to purchase an outstanding kind of technology, state-of-the-art technology that Casale has been developing for over 50 years if you don't have a good management. What we're just going to diminish diminish the workers' tiredness. But if we don't manage the animals well on a daily basis, every single day they should eat at the same times, they should do things at the same times. The separation between the stalls is important. Many people don't think about this. They supplement the pasture, they purchase machinery, a piece of equipment, and then the cattle, the cows are going to be fighting in the stalls, in the corral. And so we need to separate the animals. The stalls need to have a certain distance. Animals should be able to eat in peace, and so they can achieve their maximum genetic potential. And so it's useless to worry about the genetics if you don't think about the well-being of that animal in the feeding stalls, how the stalls are clean, the separation between them. And so this is an ally of the rational management, okay? So Casale has technologies that support this management. And Casale ensures them to be treated in a homogeneous way, and we try to avoid any kind of metabolic syndromes or metabolic problems. And so we have been connecting good nutritional management with rational management. Wow, excellent! Because an adequate nutritional management is a great way to produce more too. Wesley, hello. What are your initial remarks, please? Once again, good evening, Isi. Good evening to all of you. And so Romancini is bringing the optimization of the contention equipment. So the contention equipment is not a rustic piece of equipment anymore. It's now a highly technological piece of equipment. And so we have the sanitary issues, the health issues, the vaccines. We have the supplements, the feed supplements. And so the way we restrain the animal is very important. And so this has evolved, okay, and this has been a positive aspect. And so you can restrain your animal in a better way, not cause so much stress because the animal is not going to get hurt. And then you can get the animal's hide or the skin and inject the vaccine. And so Romancini also has equipment and accessories, scales, okay, the tag readers, okay, everything, and you can restrain the animal. And also I wanted to emphasize the team, the production team, that engineers until the last link, which is the delivery guy, they think the same thing. So when you visit our factory, those that work with wood, those that work with metal, they know where that piece is going to. The animal cannot get hurt. That cannot be any rough edges or sharp edges, okay? And so we teach all of our staff to do that. We train them to increase their technical knowledge, and we are adding value. So we have innovation and experience working together, and our industry has changed a lot. Very interesting. Wonderful. When each person knows their own responsibility and the consequences of good work that is done. When the animals and they feel safe and secure. That very interesting. And now let's listen to our dear friend Zezinho, Mr. José Dias Rosafa. His nickname is Zezinho. Hello, it's wonderful to be here sharing my experience with you. And so I have many, many years of experience, and I have been dealing with cattle management. And thanks to people such as Professor Mateus Paranhos, Dr. Lívia, they're always talking about animal well-being, so that on the farm things happen in a good way. Coima is worried about animal well-being in two aspects. We have the irrational animals that we worry about, about, and also the farm hand, the farm workers. We worry about them too. Professor Matheus Paranhos talked about the meat packers, that they are involved, the ranchers, the farmers, the truck drivers that transport cattle. They have improved a lot. They don't step on the brakes quickly. They try to drive well, smoothly. Whenever they're gonna turn right or left, they do that smoothly. And so Coima is over 70 years old, and it has followed up the technological changes. And so we had the giramundo, or turnaround pieces of wood to restrain the animal. And now we have automated pieces of wood that are comfortable. They are integrated with the scale so that you can save time, inject the right medication with the right dosage, with the right dose, and then you can have a rational management that generates profitability, because animals cannot be hurt, cannot feel stress, cannot be all hurt. And so when a housewife goes to a supermarket, if they find a potato that is hurt or purple or brown, or a piece of beef that is brown or hurt, the housewife is not going to buy that. And so it's better for people to produce more, better, and with lesser time. And we also have our partners that are worried about the evolution of the livestock production in Brazil. Wow, guys. I'm very, very proud to have in the project companies that work with such awareness and with dedication, aiming to promote animal well-being, okay, with a rational kind of management. And so I'm very proud to have all of you involved in our project, and this awareness that you have, this dedication that you have, this professionalism that you have. You have made me a happy person. Thank you. So now I would like to invite once again our professors to join us on the panel so that we can interact, have a chat. And so the first one that has a question is Rogério. He has already asked his question. But Rogério, Professor Matheus, is your question for Professor Paranhos, or? It can be either for Professor Paranhos or for Professor Lívia, okay? I apologize for having asked the question earlier than when I should have. But my question is, how do you see the evolution of the veterinary pharmaceutical companies, how can they contribute to our animals' well-being in the way that the medication is applied or injected? And so the market now, do you think the market is willing to pay a little more to have oral products and other products that are not injected into the animal? So Professor Lívia or Professor Matheus, feel free to answer his question. Lívia, we cannot hear you, sorry. Oh, okay, thank you so much. Rogério, I'm going to answer your question and raising a few concerns. I believe that the animal pharmaceutical company has already created some antibiotics, anti-parasite medication to fight against some infections or to reinforce the immune response. So I believe that the veterinary pharmaceutical company already has this. And Lívia made a few comments about animal well-being. Regarding the injection or the administration Pets, first of all, I have a comment. And so injectable products or medication, it's done on the farms in a very careless way. And I'm going to attract people's attention to that. They are not worried about the disinfection, the sterilization, the cleansingness. And so boiling the water, put the syringe inside the pot with boiling water, changing needles. Since the year 2000, we beg the farmers, please change the needles, because sometimes they use the same needle and they try to get the medication, and then they can impact and infect the animals. So the issue is not only the needle, the injection that causes pain in the animals, but when it's done correctly, the pain is smaller. You don't need to punch the calf or the bull or the cow, okay, to inject a subcutaneous injection. Okay. And then we have the alternative, oral medication. The problem is that the application is not done properly. And so the Puron application is so careless that my greatest concern, even though I'm worried about some products, which is the direct exposure to the sun. This can burn the animal's skin, depending on the product that is being applied or injected. And so many people don't consider this. The problem is that the farmers don't consider their own health. They work without personal protection equipment. The product sometimes falls on their hands, on their arms, okay? Drops. And so sometimes you have to restrain the cow, and then you have drops of that medication spraying on the workers, on the staff. And so it's a very complicated concern. It's a very complicated issue. We have been training people, discussing this, talking about this. Puron is the last task of any management inside the corral. And then you release the animals. So where are you going to release the animals? It's not at any place. If they go in the shade, okay, and then they're not going to get burned. The production for bovines is not easy. It's difficult to ensure the dose, and animals don't like for us to put anything in their mouths. And so we use a piece of equipment to inject the medication way at the back of their mouth so that they can ingest or swallow the medication. So we have some challenges. When it comes to the pharmaceutical technologies, wow, it has evolved a lot. But when it comes to the application of the medication, we have to evolve a lot. This is my personal remark and my personal observation. Felipe, would you like to say a few words as well? Yes. In fact, I'm here in the presence of such wonderful professors, and it's a great honor to be here with them. I have read many of the articles and papers that they have written. So, nowadays, as Professor Mateus mentioned, we have how important it is to have capable and highly qualified workers on farms. And so I would like to ask the professor, so are the digital tools easier for us to train these workers, or to arrive at the farms, the faraway farms that exist? This is a question that I always ask myself. Are we truly arriving on the farms? Are we truly arriving, or is information truly arriving at the workers, at the rural workers on the farms? So, Dr. Lívia? Felipe, hi. So if we had questions, the pandemic showed to us the importance of how it is important to use technologies so that we can arrive at every single place in Brazil. And so nowadays, everybody is able to have access to these tools. We who work with training courses on farms and in the field, we have eliminated the face-to-face classes, yeah? Now we are teaching classes online, and we are creating materials that can reach the rural workers, the technicians, the farm hands. So if you understand the audience or the target audience that you're trying to reach, yes, you can use technology and you should use technology. And so now we can reach farther because of the technology, and we can share all kinds of information with them. And I created a postgraduate course about this, and it's a training course as well. And we have to raise awareness on the farms. And the technologies have been created to show us that we can reach farther. Yes, yes, exactly, Professor Lívia. We're sure that technology can help us. Well, guys, we have been for almost 1 hour talking. So this chat is so good. So please, let's try to be as objective as possible, because I would like to allow everybody to ask their questions. So, Zezinho, very briefly, I don't know if Professor Mateus has time with us. I know that you have to teach. I have already told my students that I'm going to be a little late. And did they give us a green light? Yes. Okay, great.
Ai, que bom, que bom. Então vamos rapidinho.
Okay.
Zezinho, por favor.
Zezinho,
Sei que você vai ter algum
I know that you have a certain one question at least. Well, in fact, I have more. I would like to say thank you more than to ask question. Professor Mateus, I'm your big fan. He teaches so many students, and so in order for the farmhand not to use electrical shock with the cattle or to hurt the cattle when they are restraining the cattle, they have to use the equipment well. So, Professor Mateus, we still use a study and a paper that was written at Unesp, okay? And I remember that in 2002, you guys carried out a study, and all of the experts on animal well-being saying the following: vaccinating animals inside, vaccinating them, massaging them, restraining them carefully, that's wonderful. And so 10 okay, and so I would like you to comment about this, the seconds, how many seconds it was necessary to restrain the animal carefully in order not to hurt the animal. Well, Zezinho, thank you for the comment. Well, this was a paradigm that we broke at that time, yeah, because this study was carried out in the year 2000 on a very, very big farm. Nobody believed that. And so where did this idea come from? People would ask us. We were observing, seeing that the vaccination in the collection stalls, and so one of the animals would kick one another, get on top of one another. And so we started this study trying to assess everything, assess the consequences, okay? And where the animals were restrained in a collective way. only one, and to convince people of that took a long time, and we are very happy. And so the companies, your company, for instance, you have a very important role to creating these restraining stalls, yeah? And so you have to vaccinate one animal at a time, not to vaccinate the animals collectively. Yes, and I saw that in a magazine, remember? And so this is a very good result. And so where did you learn that? They don't even know the history, but they do that, and that's important because they do it. Excellent. Wesley, it's your turn. Do you have a question that you would like to ask? First of all, thank you for this opportunity. It's a great joy to be able to be asking this question. I'm speaking on behalf of Coima. Mr. Zezinho, I'm your big fan as well. Romancini is a company that was created by livestock experts, okay? And we also use a lot of our clients' feedback to improve our equipment. Professor Mateus, what can we increase? I'm sorry, what can we improve? What can we improve regarding our equipment? Okay, how can we increase? Wow, that's a difficult question. How you can improve the restraining of animals and the equipment? Well, it's difficult to say what can improve because there are so many models with so many variations, but I would like to mention two things. So I still find restraining stalls with a space between the piece of wood and where we restrain their heads. And so animals sometimes they get their paws, they get their paw stuck in that space. And so the animal couldn't leave because the animal's foot got stuck in a space, in a gap that was there. And so they need to eliminate that gap, okay? Another point that concerns me a lot, and I have already discussed this with a company in the sector, is the vaziera. It has a position that it's meant for certain sizes of animals, not all of them. Some of them are being hit on the ribs, and the other ones. And so a cattle. And so the use of this equipment is very limited. I would do that. And a recommendation that is a general recommendation, and I believe you should do that, okay, when applying medication, there is a failure, okay, when they are using the piece of wood to hold the animals or to restrain the animal's head. So sometimes when they're going to close the fence, it was so dirty, the fence, that it was difficult to move it. And we have been able to convince people they have to start the work in a clean place. They have to change the parts that become loose as time goes by, and the maintenance is not so perfect, okay? It's bad for the farmhand and for the animal. And we also have the management. The technicians nowadays, they train the workers, they train the staff. They train them that they need to use everything properly, clean everything properly. And sometimes they change the staff, or some workers are fired, or they leave the farm, and so we need to renew the training courses. Okay, so now I would like to invite Jaqueline to wrap up. Jaqueline, do you have any questions? Yes, sure.
Legal, Isi, obrigada.
Thank you, Isi.
Eu gostaria de fazer uma pergunta mais voltada a
My question is related to confined animals.
A gente hoje a Casale tem
So
tecnologia disponível
Casale
para que
has
a gente
technologies
consiga
available
distribuir
so that we
com
can
qualidade
distribute
o alimento no campo,
the
mas
feed
a
with
gente ainda
high
tem visto
quality to
que
the
os
field,
produtores muitas vezes não
but the
sabem qual que é
ranchers
o
still
dimensionamento de
don't
coxa
know what
adequado
is the best
para
size of
esse
the
tipo de sistema.
feeding
Acho que no
stall
confinamento
for
já está
this
muito
kind of
mais
system. And for
difundida essa
confined
tecnologia.
animals,
Agora, no SEMI, a gente vê que a
and
gente
when it
existe
comes
ainda uma
to the collection
dificuldade.
of
E
semen,
aí
it
temos
is
vários problemas
difficult. And so
metabólicos
we
e
have many
também
metabolic
desempenho, né, de alguns
problems,
lotes.
performance
E também a sintonia,
problems.
que é um
There
problema
is a
muito sério
difference
aí que a
between the
gente tem no nosso
batches.
segmento e que traz também contusão de
And
carcaça
then
e outros
sometimes
problemas
we
que a gente
have
só vai ver no leite.
contusions on the
Eu
carcass,
gostaria que
or
vocês, por favor, falassem um pouco sobre esse
I
tema.
would like you to discuss this a little bit. We have injuries and bruises on the carcass. Okay, so this applies, okay, to the beef cattle and also dairy cattle. Regarding confined animals, there is a strategy, okay, that I think is very interesting, mainly when it is integrated with agriculture, okay, livestock and agriculture together. There are some farms in Mato Grosso do Sul that do that wonderfully, okay, and so they usually they plant soybeans and they also have livestock production. In terms of distribution, I believe they should follow the confinement rules, because at the end of the period, there's nothing outside the stall. And if they are saving because there is some grass there, because during the process they forgot that the availability of forage is going to diminish and it's going to arrive at zero. The cattle is not going to have anything else to eat. And so do your calculations, calculate the dimensions, because saving up 1 square meter or 2 square meters is not going to make any difference there in that business. So this is the main issue. And I would like to add something. Jacqueline, you talked about how to do the nutritional management, how to distribute the feed. And this is a warning, okay, for Casale and for other companies. Mechanization cannot isolate human beings from the animal. Okay, and so you have a person there, and then the animal passes. No, it's important to have this moment, the interaction, a human being there with the cow, with the bull, with the calves. This is essential. And this makes the cattle calmer, more docile. So if you're going to distribute the food, I can stop and call the calf, call the cow, and you have to take care, because mechanization can be very useful, but maybe you can forget the interaction between humans and animals. Yes, it does not substitute other kinds of management. Yeah, this has to be made clear. Professor Lívia, now. This is the greatest responsibility, Jaqueline, giving consultancy to companies that have this precision technology. And so the machine is going to do everything. Don't worry about it. And so this is very, very serious. When it comes to dairy cattle, we work with Nelore cattle. And so the first 9 months, they are essential. You have to stimulate the calves. You have to communicate with the calves. And we're talking about, we have to talk about how important the first 9 months are. Okay, and machines are not enough. And besides distributing the feed, it's essential to have a rational management, a good management. Call the animals to the stall, call the animals to the feed stalls. You have to interact with the animals. It doesn't matter if you're producing beef or dairy cattle. And you always have to have the animals' well-being in mind. Wow, so much wonderful information. We're going to leave here today, right, Lauro? Very, very happy. We have learned a lot. We have learned a lot. I'm very proud of Brazil, and I'm very proud of our Brazilians, such as these guests. Brazilians who work towards increasing their clients' productivity. And so, Zebu cattle, they were exotic, non-native breed, and this team helped to make the Zebus more Brazilian, more docile, and so the Zebu cattle, when they get used to the people, as Professor Mateus said, the cow is becomes a real friend, a true friend. And so managing Zebu cattle allows us to show that these animals are productive, they are friendly, they are profitable, and we can show this to the rest of the world. And the entire production chain is proving to us that we can do that, and we should respect these animals as individuals. And this is another important lesson for us. And we can contribute with our brother and sister countries that take our genetics to their countries, our inputs, our products, and they don't only take the inputs and our genetics, but also to take the technologies, the rational management technologies, animal well-being, so that they can have results as fantastic as we have in Brazil. I know that our professors already have their students waiting for them. So thank you very much for your participation. Professor Mateus, Professor Lívia, in a special way, it was wonderful to be able to receive you on our Made in Brazil program. And we would like to invite you to participate with us at other moments. Our doors here at our Zebu home is always going to be open to you. And our partners, the members of the Brazilian Cattle Project, thank you for your trust in us. Thank you for your participation. And let's follow up. Let's continue taking our livestock production to the rest of the world. Best regards to all of you and great health to all of you. See you later. Thank you. Lauro. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I thank you for sharing this panel with me. Such an important panel. I believe that our international audience and also our national audience, we had to include a web link in Portuguese for the national group to participate. And we're truly glad because I leave the panel here and I stay up until way late answering, responding to WhatsApp messages. Thank you for having accepted our invitation. Thank you for working with us at our home, at the Zebu home. Thank you for sharing the information. Oh, the studio is beautiful. Your staff is extremely competent. Thank you so much. Thank you. And so the doors of our home are open to you, okay? And please continue visiting us. Thank you so much. Well, ladies and gentlemen, so wonderful, wonderful. It's wonderful for us to receive wonderful people, the technology, all the knowledge that was shared. So before continuing the new block, I need to invite some other partners from our Zebu Innovates, this panel.
A inovação dentro da Romancini não para.
A Romancini nasceu com uma paixão minha pela pecuária.
Aliados à tradição, trazemos junto a inovação. A Romancini é uma empresa de troncos e balanças que possui o DNA pecuarista. Todo o nosso sistema de produção, ele é baseado em 3 pilares fundamentais: o bem-estar animal, a sustentabilidade e o bem-estar do operador dos nossos produtos.
Uma tecnologia aí do tronco veloz, troncos mais velozes do mundo. É um tronco que ele tem um rendimento praticamente 100% no trabalho.
E agora, a Romancini quer levar a sua tecnologia a todos os países do mundo, para que todos os pecuaristas conheçam as vantagens de ter um Romancini em sua propriedade. Venha você também conhecer a Romancini.
Ouro Fino look for the best solutions for the ranchers. Presents to the market Evolve. Evolve is the powerful electrocide that will be bring great profit for your business and the well-being of our animals.
Coima, tradicional fabricante de troncos e balanças, líder no segmento no Brasil. Há 70 anos a Coima vem trazendo inovação tecnológica em prol da pecuária. Desenvolvemos 3 tecnologias de ponta. As travas EasyLock e substituir os pistões hidráulicos. Essas travas EasyLock não tem óleo, não tem retentor, manutenção praticamente zero. Desenvolvemos também o Megatron, um tronco silencioso, automatizado. Com apenas 7 teclas é possível fazer todas as operações. E também faz apartação automática por peso, enviando os pesos via Bluetooth. E por último, a Balpass, uma balança inteligente que pesa os animais lá no fundo da invernada, dispensando trazê-los no curral. Esses pesos são enviados para o satélite e posteriormente você recebe no seu tablet ou smartphone, podendo gerenciar 24 horas por dia o seu rebanho. Coima, inovação tecnológica em prol da pecuária brasileira.
Então, gente,
So, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to share with you another very important piece of information. Every single day, we're going to have 2 editions of our Made in Brazil show, okay? We have the edition that is going to take place at 1 p.m., which is the Farm 2 edition. It's an opportunity for you to get to know all of the members of the Brazilian Cattle program, and it's an opportunity for you to be able to visit them virtually, get to know the technologies, their products. So don't miss out at 1 p.m. Brasilia time, and at 6 p.m. Brasilia time. You know that we're going to be here together again, sharing information with you, innovations, discussions, debates, everything that is new in the market, so that you can always be updated about what's available at the Zebu home. And now for our new block and new session. It's a great honor for me to invite. It's a very special session so that all of you can get to know a little bit about livestock production in other countries, so that you can understand what's happening and so that our friends can see opportunities in other countries, yeah? And so the presenters or speakers in the session that are going to share the information, they are the agricultural attachés, okay, agricultural and livestock attachés, great professionals that help us a lot when opening up new markets for Brazil and its farmers, okay? So daily, we always have 2 guests, special guests, that are going to talk with us about other countries, and they're going to discuss the livestock raising capabilities and opportunities in the countries where they work. And so we are going to have the session now, Attachés Inform, or the Attaché Informs. So, our first guest tonight that is here with us is Jesulindo Neri de Souza Jr. He is an agricultural attaché in South Africa. Hello, Jesulindo. Good evening. How are you? Hello, can you hear me well? Yes, we can hear you well. Thank you so much. I know that there is a huge time difference and you should be resting, so thank you so much for being here with us, sharing this program, and also sharing lots and lots of important information with us about livestock production in South Africa. First of all, I would like to say that it's always a great pleasure to be sharing information with you. It doesn't matter the time, I'm always at your disposal, and we're always trying to create a bridge between Brazil and South Africa, okay, and the producers in Brazil. So in fact, it's going to be a chat, it's not a presentation, okay? I'm going to discuss the characteristics of the sector in South Africa. When it comes to the production of cattle, it's a well-structured sector, and it has been growing a lot, but they still need many improvements, and maybe this could become an opportunity for Brazilian products, okay? And before talking about the production sector, there are some specific points in the regarding the economy of South Africa. South Africa is a developing country, okay, yet. Just like Brazil, they have many social issues and problems. And so their GDP last year was 302 billion. It's small compared to Brazil. Most of their population is made up of poorer people, needy people. And so the middle class here is consuming Brazilian products. The life expectancy is 63.9 years of age. So their GDP is 302 billion US dollars, not reais, okay? In 2020, their GDP didn't grow. It was they had a negative growth rate. Their annual inflation rate is 3.3%. And so the pandemic did not help at all in their GDP's growth, okay? Their unemployment rate is 29.2%. It's almost 30%. And the experts, they say that these data, this piece of data is under the true value. The Human Development Index is high, but it needs to improve a lot. The per capita income is $5,000 approximately per person, but there is a huge social gap, a huge social inequality. So most of the population here, they don't have this income. Now, talking about the cattle production in South Africa, okay, this is a sector. It is the most well-structured beef-producing country in the world. They produce a lot. They export a lot as well. But as I mentioned before, they need to improve a few points, and they meet the demands that they have of beef with imports, okay? And so Africa produces around 21.4% of all of the beef produced in the African continent, okay? And their agricultural GDP is around 34%. And 80% of their cattle is produced, raised, and bred for the production of beef, okay? And so, okay, their meat offers high quality. They have a production model with confined animals, mostly confined animals, okay? Okay, they have the fourth largest agricultural industry in the country when it comes to the production of milk, okay? South Africa produces 0.56% of the global milk supply. And when it comes to the production of beef, and this is a huge opportunity for Brazil, okay? Okay, so we can export more beef, boneless beef, okay? And so now they are releasing the authorization, okay, for Brazil to export beef with bones to South Africa, pardon me. Oh, I'm sorry. And they also export all kinds of cuts that are not used here in Brazil a lot. So the tariff for exporting these products is 0, okay? And so we're going to be able to compete with the greatest producers in the world. Just to give you an idea, the pandemic impacted the agricultural sector here in South Africa tremendously. There was a huge drop in the importing of beef, okay, because the consumption dropped as well. So their stock of beef ended up stabilizing and dropped in terms of the exports. But now that the economy, as soon as the economy gets back on track, and the two main countries, they are part of the SACU, and they have 0 tariff, and our tariff is going to be 40%. And we also have the transportation logistics. And Botswana mainly exports a lot to Europe. So most of the exports, the beef exports, go to Europe, and then there is this window of opportunity for Brazilian products. And so we have data regarding bovine offal and giblets. And so, the bovine innards, yes, and they use this a lot. And so you have 0 tariff, and so this is a promising market for Brazilian producers. And maybe in the second semester of 2021, I believe we're going to be able to approve this importing of bovine innards to South Africa. And so South Africa has a free trade agreement with Europe. And regarding bovine innards, our main competitors are Australia and the USA, and we're going to compete with them at the same level regarding the tariffs. And this is not going to be difficult for any Brazilian farmer. Okay, now going on to the next product, which is the bovine genetic materials. Okay. South Africa is expanding. It is a market that is expanding, and it tends to grow, and it imports over 18 tons of bovine genetic material every year. So the potential markets for Brazil, we are still negotiating the products, embryos and semen. So the bovine semen from Brazil has already been approved and certified. And so I had a meeting last week with the South African authorities, and they stated that they have already updated the requisites and the guidelines. They're going to forward the requisites to us, and depending on the requisites that they establish, we're going to be able to get a certification in 30, 60 days, depending on the analysis carried out by the authorities. The issue of the embryos, the bovine embryos, is going to take a little longer. And I believe this is going to be solved. The greatest advantage regarding genetic material, bovine genetic material, is the tariff. The importing tariff is 0. And we already have exporters in Brazil and importers in South Africa in touch with one another, and they are almost signing their contracts, okay? And so I believe that this market, once the contracts are signed, I believe the market is going to flow smoothly. And during the pandemic, you can see that even during the pandemic, there were no drastic changes in terms of the product. And it is a stable and promising market, as you can see from the chart. And so within the 10 minutes that I had to talk with you, this is what I wanted to share with you in a very summarized way. Thank you so much for this opportunity. And I wish great success to all of you. Jesulindo, thank you. You brought to us great news. I'm so glad and so happy to hear about the sanitary and health protocols. This was a present for me, right? Wow. And we have dedicated ourselves. We worked hard, and I would like to thank you so much for your work, your dedication, so that we could truly open up South Africa for Brazil so that they could import genetic material. So it's late for you. Now we're going to chat with Mr. Nilson, and he's going to talk about the livestock production in Morocco. If you need to leave, please feel free to do that. Thank you for the information you have shared with us. Thank you. And God willing, we're going to open up South Africa for genetic material. Okay. Good night. Have a good rest. Hello, Nilson. Nilson César Castanheira Guimarães. He is an agricultural attaché in Morocco. Welcome. Welcome. How are you? I'm fine, thank you, Isi. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to thank you for the invitation and to congratulate you for the excellent event, the excellent program. The discussions held were extremely good. They were excellent. And I would like to share, okay, the opportunities that Brazilian producers are going to have in Morocco. We thank you for being available, for participating. We know that the time difference is huge between us and you. And me personally, I'm very, very curious to get to know a little bit more about the opportunities that our producers can have in Morocco. We have discussed this a lot, and I am really interested in learning about the possible opportunities we may have in Morocco. So please, Nilson, go ahead and start giving your presentation to us. Well, your curiosity has a reason, because Morocco, it hasn't been so well explored by the zebu producers in Brazil, by the zebu livestock, and this is difficult to understand because of the environment and the climate here in Morocco. They are totally adjusted, well adjusted to receive zebu cattle, okay? And so I am an agronomist, okay? And I'm an agronomist, and I have been an agricultural attaché, okay, here in Rabat since 2019, since the beginning of 2019, okay? The first point that I would like to share with you is some general ideas about Morocco. Morocco has 36.5 million inhabitants. Their GDP is about 119 billion US dollars. This estimate is from 2019. Their bovine herd represents 3.2 million head. And it's important for us to emphasize that besides bovine herds, they also have sheep, goats, they have also camels, 200,000 camels, okay? And so beef in Morocco and meat in Morocco is very diversified, and so they share the space with the other kinds of herds. And so at all the moments, we're going to see that the cattle production in Morocco is limited, but they have land, they have enough property properties to expand this, okay? And so as I go along my presentation, you're going to understand why they can grow. They can grow in terms of cattle production. So the meat in general represents 30% of the agricultural GDP in Morocco, and the main bovine breeds that they have here is Omes, Zaire, Brune de Atlas, Santa Gertrude, Charolais, and Holstein. So the first four ones are beef cattle, and the one before the last for dairy and beef, and the Holstein exclusively for the production of dairy products. And so how much meat do they consume in Morocco? And this, I'm also going to discuss the importing of live animals. And so beef, there is a relatively low consumption of beef in Morocco. It's about 9 kilograms per inhabitant per year. And almost the entire beef production satisfy their national demand. And they import live bovines, live cattle, and this represents 3% of the total. And it also represents 4% of the total beef that they consume in the country. And so they have some tariff barriers and tariffs, and they import frozen beef and cuts. 200% of the beef imported is meant for the military in Morocco. And in 2020, Russia supplied a lot of beef to Morocco. In the public bidding, the Zebu breed cannot participate. This is forbidden, and we can work on this. We have had meetings with the National Defense Agency here because of the public bidding, and we showed to them, we had arguments, we mentioned to them the high quality of the Zebu beef and that they should have a public bidding. So this is our first fight here, struggle. We need to show the potential of the Brazilian beef in terms of prices, in terms of quality, and we are able to do that. And we have already had representatives from Brazilian companies that wanted to export the box Taurus to Morocco. And they were interested in doing that. They didn't win the public bidding. But if we can participate with our Zebu cattle, we're going to win everything. We're going to win everything. And so because of the tariff exemptions, they imported most of the beef to feed their military, personnel. Maybe it's going to be half carcass, the entire carcass, or some cuts. Even the countries that have some kind of tariff benefit because of free trade agreements, they also have a high tariff. It's over 100%. So that's why we see such a low participation in the exports. And I have been living in Morocco for quite some time, and so the beef in Morocco is really, really expensive, and the quality is low. So the importing of live animals is very meaningful. Last year, they imported $49.5 million in 2020, 32 million for reproduction, and 17.5 million for slaughters, to slaughter them, So the production of bovines in Morocco, and so Brazil can enter the market with live animals and also genetic material. And this is going to be wonderful to spread the Zebu breed in Morocco, And the last comment, it has to do with the tariff issues for processed meats. be it poultry, chicken, or red meat, there is a reduction of the tariff when the meat is processed or manufactured. So we have 16%, 40% as tariffs, and then the Brazilian products become very, very competitive. And so we have chicken that they import, hamburgers that they import. And so you can have soybeans in the hamburger or pure beef, and Brazil can start in a strong way and start selling in the Moroccan market. Regarding open up the market to external markets, recently, Morocco lowered the tariffs, reduced the tariffs, and so they can buy Garrett's, light Garrett's. This was a recent opening of the market. Okay, it's still very incipient, and so they have the Green Morocco plan. This plan started in 2018, aiming to modernize the Moroccan agricultural and livestock market. And so they have reduced the tariffs for reproducers by 2.5%. And the restrictions are related to the weight, the age, the sex, the breed of the animals, and these issues make the exports a little more difficult. And so what is the sex of each breed? And so sometimes it's difficult for you to export animals to Morocco. And so we need to convince the local authorities. I analyzed the breeds with the tariff reduction, and there is no Zebu breed included. So I would like to emphasize that we need to do this work jointly with the local authorities, and this is a work that we have been doing. And so besides these opportunities of exporting genetic materials and live animals, we have the following opportunities: agricultural equipment and machinery that are meant for the livestock production. And so Morocco suffers with clandestine and illicit slaughterhouses, okay? And this is a huge concern of the Moroccan government, okay? They want to standardize the slaughterhouses. They want to improve the slaughterhouses that they have. And so they need to have traceability systems, slaughtering equipment, management techniques. They need to improve their sector of artificial insemination. And so we can open up this market for our producers. And so we can try to convince them, convince the commercial authorities, and we can try to convince the Moroccan government of the high quality of our Zebu breed. The next slide discusses the opportunities a little bit. And so something important to mention is the interest of the FIVR. They are the Red Meat Federation. We paid a visit to this federation in 2019. I also called them on the phone recently, and they truly want to diversify the Moroccan livestock production. They want to get to know more about the Zebu breed and the Zebu cattle. And sometimes we talk to ranchers here in Morocco, and they don't know. They simply don't know. It's almost shocking, but they truly don't know the Zebu breeds. And so I have already discussed this with you guys in other opportunities. And so we should organize missions and trips to Morocco so that they can get to know the technology, they can to get to know the breed. And this would be essential to raise awareness and tell them about the potential of all of the Zebu breeds. and they can show the zebu production, introduce the zebu production to Morocco. Unfortunately, in 2020 and in 2021, the international fair, the International Agricultural Fair in Morocco, they were canceled, okay? It's called SIAM. And maybe we should create an ABCZ stand in this fair. And there would be another event, which was the show. The show, it's a virtual show, and I'm going to share the invitation with you. I'm going to let you know so that we can have a virtual stand and maybe carry out a presentation, give a presentation, so that we can introduce the zebu cattle to the Moroccan people and produce. So after we do this commercial promotion, we need the certifications. The international certifications must be approved. So we have been negotiating with certain authorities. We are also sharing with ONSA, the Moroccan Sanitary and Health Authority. They have already forwarded a questionnaire to MAPA, the Brazilian Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock. So this process is well advanced. It's going on really well, okay? And so they want to know about our herds, and we're going to share this information with them. And as soon as we forward this questionnaire to them, I believe we're going to have the signing of the certifications. So they want the certification so that they can import bovine semen, bovine embryos, and live animals. And so we should organize missions to Morocco as soon as possible, even if the certificates are not ready yet, okay? Because they are interested in doing that. The federations that are, the local federations are interested in that. So we need commercial promotions. We need to do this work when it comes to zebu production. And it's a great challenge because we can show the advantages of this kind of zebu breeding, zebu production, zebu breeds, how strong they are. They could adjust to the climate in Morocco, and they could lower the price of the beef that is sold in Morocco. Excellent, Nilson. Thank you so much. Wow, I'm so happy. And you helped me overcome my curiosity. These challenges, I see them as you do. I see challenges as opportunities. If they don't know our zebu breeds, if they don't know our potential, more than ever, we should be ready to share this information with the producers in Morocco, to share this information with the government, and to know that these protocols that are going to ensure the exporting, all of this process, these negotiations are ongoing. This is so good to know. And so when you say that everything is moving forward, to me, this is very good. It's a good sign. So in 2022, it is possible for us, if the pandemic is already over in 2022, and if we can personally be there face to face with you guys and show our zebu breeds and our zebu livestock production, because our job is to do this commercial promotion. And the consequence of this is to open up more markets, to open the market there in Morocco. Our genetics, our inputs, our technologies, they can help the livestock production in the country. And we're ready for that. Yes, Isi. You are totally right. We need to do this commercial promotion, and that's why we have agricultural attaches all over the world present locally locally, face-to-face, so that we can promote the Brazilian livestock livestock production in other countries. So I'm going to make my email available to you. So if you are in doubt about anything, please get in touch with us. So if you want to visit Morocco, if you want to organize a mission, if you want to present your products, introduce your products, I am totally at your disposal. Yes, we're going to coordinate a group of producers and business people to pay you a visit. So thank you so much for your presentation, and mainly for your support, your assistance, your consultancy, and for all the excellent work that you do trying to open up markets for Brazil. Thank you so much. Thank you. You are our wonderful partners. Thank you to you guys too. Thank you, success, and God willing, we're gonna pay you a visit in Morocco. Great health for you. Inshallah. Yes, that's it, guys. It's wonderful for us to find more opportunities for our livestock producers, livestock ranchers, and so our work can help other countries, and we're glad to know that. That's why we are here. That's why we work so hard, so that we can open up as many opportunities as possible to share our Zebu breeds to the rest of the world. And I have to remind you that tomorrow at 1 p.m., our Made in Brazil program is going to have the farm tour session at 1 p.m. with all of the members of the Brazilian Cattle Project. You're going to be able to follow up the interviews, the representatives. You're going to be able to have virtual tours of the farms of the companies. And at 6 p.m. and tomorrow's topic, and our guests tomorrow, they are wonderful. Tomorrow we're going to talk about the agribusiness market after the pandemic. And I know that all of you are curious about this topic, are curious about the strategies, the estimates. What is the future going to bring to us? And so our experts are going to be tomorrow to discuss this very, very interesting topic. And once again, I would like to share with you that if you want to do great business with the members of the Brazilian Cattle Project, okay, so the business rounds, they are taking place all the time until Friday. So if you want to do business with our members, companies or farmers, get in touch with us via our WhatsApp number, okay? 553499802561. So now we are wrapping up one more Made in Brazil program. Thank you for your participation. Thank you for being here with us at the Zebu home. Kind regards to all of you, and tomorrow we're going to continue in our Expo Zebu, because our fair is going to arrive at your home anywhere in the world. Thank you.
O compromisso da pecuária é do tamanho do Brasil. Um país continental, o maior criador das raças zebuínas do mundo. E nossa pecuária não pode parar, porque o planeta depende dela. Porque mais de 8 milhões de trabalhadores no campo acordam antes do sol para alimentar centenas de países. O mundo gira 365 dias por ano. São 365 dias de trabalho incansável, pela nobre tarefa de alimentar o mundo. É neste momento em que tudo parece estar parado que a pecuária prova a sua importância. Não podemos parar. Temos que avançar. Nossa responsabilidade é grande demais para retroceder e vamos além. Décadas de melhoramento genético prepararam o Brasil para esta tarefa desafiadora de seguir produzindo, utilizando de uma grande variedade de ferramentas tecnológicas e a dedicação do homem do campo. Neste momento, realizar a Expo Zebu deixa de ser uma necessidade e passa a ser um compromisso. Uma obrigação que assumimos com todo o planeta de levar até você o melhor que o campo pode produzir. É muito mais que uma associação buscando realizar a maior feira de zebuínos do mundo. É o resultado do trabalho de gerações empenhadas em produzir e melhorar a cada dia. O Brasil é um gigante que não adormece, composto por milhões de trabalhadores do campo que formam uma única só voz, forte e determinada. A pecuária não vai parar. Seguiremos trabalhando para alimentar os seus filhos, estando você em qualquer parte do mundo.